Today let's talk about choosing an acoustic guitar. So this is whether you're borrowing this from a friend or probably purchasing it from a store or online. Let's talk about what it is that you need to know. So I get this question all the time from folks because there's a lot to know. There's a lot of marketing that's involved with buying a guitar. There's pretty guitars, there's ugly guitars, and there's anything in between. And obviously, you know, if we don't know what to look out for in a guitar, we typically will pick something by price, or we'll pick it because it looks cool, it looks pretty, right? But there's some other variables that we really need to know here. And I can break this down really into three variables, and if you just remember these three variables all the time, whenever you're purchasing a guitar, whether it's an acoustic or electric, it's going to help a lot. Now, there are some things that we need to know that's different about the acoustic than the electric. That's why I'm going to do a video for you on electric as well. However, let's talk about the three things that you need to know. And those three things are budget, sound, and feel. Okay? No, in no particular order there. Although budget should probably come first, only because if you like the sound of an instrument that's a $10,000 instrument or a $2,000 instrument and that's out of your price range, then budget should have been the first thing we talked about, right? So let's start from there, okay? So what I always like to tell folks is, they'll say, what kind of guitar should I buy? They'll say, what's the best? Well, obviously, when you're talking about the best, number one, there isn't a best guitar. There might be a better guitar, and of course someone needs to decide whether that's better or not. It's not like there's some way to do this other than maybe reviews or what people say. It's something's reputation, okay? But with all that being said, you can have a guitar that may be less money that's a great guitar, and a very expensive guitar that really isn't very good. So price is important in that when you're going to try a new guitar, you want to be able to walk in and know which guitars that you should play. Okay, so we're talking about going into a store at this point. But let's say your budget's $500 and you're going into the store to pick a new acoustic guitar. There's not much of a need for you to play a $1,000 or $2,000 guitar unless it's just to see if there's any difference. Okay. And that's good. That's good to get that education by trying some other guitars, some more expensive guitars. But truth be told, if you only have $500, you can get a great guitar, but you need to just play the $500 guitars, and then that'll keep you from playing many, many, many guitars that you may not have the time to do. Okay, so with all that being said, you go in, you have your budget. And you walk into the store, you say, hey, I'm looking for this price range. Can you show me some guitars? And they're going to show you some guitars. You're going to get a great education being at a music store and talking about these things with folks that know more about guitars than you. You know, woods, what it is that more money is going to get you or might not get you, those variables. Okay, so let's say you're going into a store, you have several guitars to choose from. What is it that you're looking for with the acoustic guitar? Well, first off, you've got the feel, and secondly, you have sound, okay? And so what we mean by the feel of the guitar is, how does it feel when it's sitting on your lap? How does it feel when you're actually fretting something, okay, when you're fretting a chord? Now, you don't necessarily have to be a guitar player yet to do this. In fact, chances are you're not going to be when you're doing this. You're going to be a new player. But if you were to play several different guitars and you start messing with notes and playing some chords and that sort of thing, you're going to see that one guitar may play better than another. So that's what we're talking about by feel, or just the physical size of it. This is a jumbo body, so it's very big. Then we have Dreadnought, which is your typical, you know, country style looking guitar that's just your basic size. It's much smaller, okay? Then you have Parlor, which is even smaller than that. It was originally designed for women, but I've owned Parlor guitars and men play them. It's a great smaller size guitar. You've got 3/4 size, half size, quarter size, smaller guitars for smaller hands, smaller folks, you know, kids. So that's another thing that you'll want to consider, is the size and the way it feels. So go into a store, you've got your price range, try a bunch out. How do they feel? If something just feels absolutely terrible to you, then even if the sound sounds good, you probably aren't going to be very comfortable with it. So move on if you have that choice, okay? So how does it feel in your hands? You may want to bring another guitar player with you or ask the employee at the store that you're at whether this guitar feels good, plays good, that sort of thing, compared to others, because it's good to get the advice from a player who's been playing for a while as well, okay? So now let's talk about sound, and let's also talk about maybe some other variables that you may want to consider if you have more money, okay? So sound, obviously, how does it sound to you? You may go in saying, well, I don't know how the guitar should sound. That's right, that's fine if you don't know how the guitar should sound. But you know what a burrito should taste like, right? Or you know what something should taste like, a drink or food, right? And that's a matter of taste. So the same thing is true when it comes to guitars. One person will say, oh, this guitar sounds way better than this guitar. Well, how does it sound to you? Because that's really, truly what matters. Try to really stay out of the banter that goes on between guitar players where they're arguing about brand names and sounds and that sort of thing. It's good to take it with a grain of salt and to listen to. You have a bunch of people just raving about one particular guitar, it may be a good idea to listen to that. Otherwise, you'll want to decide for yourself, how do you like the sound? So play a bunch of guitars, the ones that feel good, play them. Even if you're just playing a few different chords or you're just noodling around, or have your friend play or an employee at the store play, you know, they're always happy to do that. And listen to them, and you may like one more than another, okay? So sound, feel, and budget. Those are the three things you really, really need to remember. Now, if you really want to drill down and go further, some great names in acoustic guitars are Gibson, Martin, Taylor. Those are probably the top three. Larrivee is a great one. Siegel is a great one. Breedlove. There's so many different acoustic guitar manufacturers out there now that really it's quite overwhelming. So really, again, what we're talking about is it's kind of like art. What sounds good to you? What's in your price range? What do you like? Hopefully what you're getting from this video is don't worry, okay? Go into the store and what resonates with you. If one doesn't resonate, wait and go back the next day until something does resonate with you. But chances are, if you're playing several guitars, one is going to resonate with you. It's going to say, take me home, okay? It does with me all the time, okay? I've got a lot of guitars. So, but let's talk about a few of those other variables that you may want to consider. So usually when you're buying guitars and you'll see guitars for $500 and $1,000 and $2,000, and then they get much more expensive after that. If you're talking about an instrument that's not vintage, okay, you know, this electric guitar back here is a vintage instrument. It was made in 1965. So because of its age and its rarity, it's going to cost a lot more money. Does it play, you know, way different than, say, a guitar that's a lot less, that is built to the same specifications? Probably not as much as this costs. So if this is a $15,000 guitar, which it is, you're buying a lot of that is the age, okay? It's not going to be 15 times as good sounding as a $1,000 guitar, and it's not going to play 15 times as better. So remember that. So really, when we're talking about instruments, electric or acoustic, you're paying for vintage instruments, and those are very expensive because they're just become rarer, okay? There is some truth that the older an instrument is, especially acoustics, that they start opening up because the pores on the wood start opening up and they resonate better. So there's that, okay? But really what you're paying for, if you're you know, paying about $1,000 or under $2,000, you're not talking about vintage instruments typically at that point. You're going to be paying for the name brand. This is a Gibson, and Gibsons have great names because they have great reputations. They use great woods. They spend a lot of times with with their guitars, but a lot of manufacturers do. But the things that you're going to be spending money on when you're talking about acoustic is typically the wood, and it's typically the body wood. A solid top guitar means that the wood is made of solid wood, not made of laminate, which is when they stack pieces, thinner pieces of wood on top of each other, which makes it not sound as resonant. More expensive guitars will have more solid pieces, so the ribs, the back of the guitar, they're going to have more solid pieces, as opposed to the guitars that are going to have more laminate and more cheaply made materials. They're going to be more affordable. Okay, so there is some degree of truth to you get what you pay for. But with all that being said, I have some amazing $500 guitars, some amazing $200 guitars. I have one guitar that's in my other room there that's an electric. It was a $100 travel guitar. It's a great sounding guitar. It plays great. So with all that being said, don't get too overwhelmed by the money. Budget, feel, and sound. Okay? Go by those three. Go into a store. Be confident. And find the guitar that you fall in love with. All right? Let's keep going.